Chapter 1135. Dong Huang Baiji looked at Yi Hua blankly, and two streams of tears flowed down along her cheeks. I don't want to see you. After finished speaking, Dong Huang Baiji disappeared from the spot. After hearing that, Yi Hua slowly closed his eyes and lowered his hands. I knew this matter couldn't be covered up. They would find out sooner or later, but it had already been a few years. Furthermore, you are still so angry. Back then, didn't I do it for you all? If not, why would I do all those things? Yi Hua then looked towards Qingye, seemingly saying, Qingye, you are the most sensible one, can you understand me? Yi Hua, you really disappoint me. Qingye said gravely, then disappeared from the spot as well. I knew that Yi Hua would do things by hook or by crook, but I didn't expect that he would even kill his own people. Qian Yuqing, who was at the side, was confused. What was going on? Why did Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji become like this? Yi Hua gave Qian Yuqing a meaningful glance. Qian Yuqing understood what Yi Hua meant and disappeared from where she was. Qian Yuqing went to stabilize Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji. Your Honor. Zhu Tian greeted respectfully. Yi Hua stretched out his hand and signaled for him to stop talking. Go back and continue your research. Yi Hua said gravely. Recently, unlucky things have been appearing one after another, and they completely did not allow me to be in a good mood at all. Having no other choice, Absolute Heaven could only nod his head and retreat. Big brother, you all can go back and rest. Yi Hua said faintly. Very vexed, not just a normal kind of vexed. Gong Yu tugged on the corner of Yi Juetian's clothes. Your big brother is currently in a very violent mood, so don't provoke him. Of course, Yi Juetian knew. Then I'll go back and rest first. If big brother has any instructions, just call me. Yi Hua waved his hand, and Yi Juetian and Gong Yu left. In an instant, only Yi Hua was left at the scene. Looking at Lai Gu, who was shivering at the side, Yi Hua walked over and questioned gravely, what's going on? Your Honor, I have been poisoned by Qing Su. Lai Gu was very apologetic. Just now, it was all my mistake, allowing the two madams to know about the scam back then in advance. Qing Su's poison. Isn't he an idiot? Yi Hua was very puzzled. Lai Gu's enormous body moved a bit, and accidentally caused the surrounding wall to collapse. Right now, Lai Gu felt as if he was squatting like a puppy. A bone dragon squatting like this was very comical. Your Honor, I came back in a hurry to report this matter, that's why I forgot that I was poisoned. Start from the beginning and focus on the main points. Lai Gu told Yi Hua about his conjecture in full detail, and after Yi Hua listened to it, he cursed out loudly, idiot. Because Lai Gu's conjecture wasn't without reason. That idiot always liked to experiment on his own. He didn't know what he was playing with this time, but he had messed himself up. But what was undeniable was that Qing Su's strength had returned, and he was able to control Great Floating World. This was even more troublesome. Your Honor, it is subordinates' dereliction of duty to let your wives know about what happened back then. Lai Gu said apologetically. He truly felt very apologetic. Yi Hua let out a light sigh. Forget about this matter, they will find out about it sooner or later, it's just that it is brought forward. Then, Your Honor, let's go and capture Qing Su together. If I don't have the antidote, I will continue to maintain my current appearance. Right now, Lai Gu was already not used to being in his real body. How good is it to be a human? I can have sex with my wife every night. But now that he had become like this, how could he slap? He didn't even have tools. Lai Gu lowered his head and took a look. This tool seems to be here, but the size is not suitable. Yi Hua had no choice. This Qing Su problem still has to be solved. After all, I have already kidnapped Great Floating World. Now that Great Floating World knows how to use poison, it is only a matter of time before Great Floating World's memory recovers. Yi Hua and Lai Gu immediately disappeared from the spot and arrived at the sky above the dilapidated temple. A huge bone dragon was flapping its wings in the sky, while Yi Hua was standing on top of Lai Gu's head and looking down at the entire ground. "Your Honor, he seems to have run away," Lai Gu said angrily. Yi Hua hurriedly searched for Qing Su's aura, and his brows slightly wrinkled. This idiot actually erased his aura. Then, I will use Great Floating World's aura. The result is still the same. My two subordinates have run away. Your Honor, don't speak, I am very annoyed right now, Yi Hua said coldly while holding on to his forehead. Qing Su was here to save my mother. But now, he disappeared. Where am I supposed to find him? I can't find him at all. Bastard. And he even kidnapped Great Floating World. This Qing Su's guts are truly getting bigger and bigger. Your Honor, how about we call Wei Chong back? Lai Gu suggested. One more person, one more head. Yi Hua felt that Lai Gu's suggestion was not bad. Wei Chang's brain is still useful. Hurry up and contact Wei Chang. However, an unimaginable thing happened immediately. I can't contact him anymore. This caused Yi Hua's gaze to become ice cold. Sense Wei Chang's aura. He disappeared as well. Didn't that fellow fight just now? Could it be that he lost the fight? He was exterminated. How is this possible? I know of Wei Chang's strength, and only I am able to defeat Wei Chang. Who else is able to defeat Wei Chang? With so many unforeseen events happening in a single night, Yi Hua was already extremely annoyed. The whereabouts of 2 of the 7 sins are unknown. And one of them is Wei Chang. And that idiot Qing Su. There is also that idiot Do Floating World. There is also that poison Lai Gu. My secret was discovered by my wife as well. My mother's illness, my little brother's matter. Why did so many troubles appear all of a sudden? I no longer want to use my brain to solve these problems. Seems like sometimes, I still have to rely on force to solve problems. Wei Chang disappeared. What? Your Honor, why did Wei Chang disappear? Lai Gu cried out in shock. There is definitely no problem with Wei Chang's loyalty. Could it be that Wei Chang was exterminated during the fight just now? How is this possible? Yi Hua didn't explain much and directly brought Lai Gu to the scene of the incident. The scene of the incident could be said to be a huge empty crater, and the smell of scorched earth pervaded the air. And on the ground, there was a huge and abnormal crater. Lai Gu hovered in the air and looked at the imprint. Your Honor, this seems to be Wei Chang's original form. Yes, Wei Chang was actually forced to reveal his original form. Yi Hua said gravely, and he couldn't sense any aura of life in the surroundings at all. Lai Gu was very shocked. This age. There is still someone who is able to force Wei Chang's original form out. This is completely impossible. Who has such great ability? Your Honor, what should we do now? Lai Gu asked worriedly. Yi Hua took a deep breath, then took out a stick of cigarette and placed it in his mouth. Gather everyone. Yi Hua contacted Qing Yutong and even all of his subordinates. The current situation had become very strange. Yi Hua felt that there was someone who was targeting him. I felt it when my mother was poisoned. That idiot emperor has such great ability. No, that's an existence. There is someone else. Very quickly, Qing Yutong and the others received Yi Hua's order and all of them disappeared from the tavern in the Evil Man's city. Only Yang Haotian and Renya were still in the tavern. After all, the 2 of them weren't members of the group and didn't have the qualifications to participate in this kind of meeting. End of this chapter. Chapter 1136. Subordinate pays respect to your honor. 10,000 blessings equal to heaven. The subordinates knelt down and shouted out. Qing Yutong stood behind Yihua. No matter what, she is still a wife, there is no need for her to salute. Everyone, get up. Yihua said gravely. Everyone looked at Lai Gu, who was at the side, and felt very confused. Why did he come out with his real body? Is he trying to show off? Especially Lai Gu's 4 wives, they were all confused. With Lai Gu's current appearance, I can only ride him. Right now, Lai Gu felt extremely awkward. However, everyone discovered that there seemed to be a few people missing. Where did Wei Chang and Dou Fusher go? Li Hun looked around in confusion. Where did my little Dou Fusher go? Tang Wei was the same as well. Where did Uncle Wei go? Yihua took a glance at the surroundings and said gravely, tonight. A lot of things happened. I want to know why Wei Chang suddenly got into a fight for no reason. Tang Wei, you tell him. Tang Wei had a bad premonition and walked out of the group, reporting to Your Honor, tonight's matter is like this. Tang Wei recounted everything that had happened in full detail. Yihua finally understood. So it was because of gold. That black-clothed man is not simple. He was actually able to instantly kill LV Liang. But he didn't directly kill LV Liang. The feeling he gave off was a bit like a plot. Your Honor, subordinate is incompetent. Your Honor, please punish me. LV Liang immediately knelt down and admitted her mistake. For something like this to happen, it is such a loss of face. I have thrown His Honor's face all the way to the Pacific Ocean. Right now, Yihua didn't even have the mood to care about such a matter. There are a few things that I need to say. Seeing that His Honor's expression was so bad, everyone didn't dare to say anything. Dou Fusher was kidnapped by Qing Su. He has already disappeared. Yihua said the first thing that he wanted to say. Li Han, who was in the group, went into a daze and immediately fainted. Zi Shan, who was at the side, hurriedly held on to Li Han. Li Han also heard about Qing Su's matter. That fellow used me as an experiment. If Dou Fusher was kidnapped, I will definitely be used as a guinea pig. I will become a widow. Li Han felt heartache. If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have bullied little Dou Fusher. Little Dou Fusher is so cute and loves me so much. Yihua let out a breath and continued. Lai Gu was inflicted with Qing Su's poison, and for the time being, he is unable to regain his human form. Yi Zizi said vigilantly, Your Honor, since Lai Gu is unable to revert back to his human form, it's best for him not to return back to Lai Gu's human form, in case your wife sees him. It's too late. Yihua said faintly. The expressions of Lai Gu's subordinates sunk, and they immediately looked towards Lai Gu. How can you be so careless? Your wife actually saw it. Lai Gu felt very ashamed, and his huge dragon head looked towards the side where there was no one. One more thing. Wei Chang has gone missing. Yihua said coldly. Wei Chang's matter could be said to be a big matter. Right now, there is no corpse of Wei Chang. He should not be dead, but he is missing. Everyone took a deep breath. Meanwhile, Tang Wei also immediately fainted. The powerful Uncle Wei actually went missing. Why is it like this, in just one night? 2 of the 7 deadly sins went missing. To the entire team, that was a grievous news. Qing Yutong didn't expect that such a thing would happen, and right now, she was completely clueless about what to do. Furthermore, brother-in-law's evil deeds were also discovered by Big Sister. Misfortunes never come alone. Misfortunes never come alone, I now announce. Activate Level 1 alert. Everyone's mission will be cancelled. Go back and discuss how to deal with the situation. Right now, Yihua couldn't care less about the gold and the legendary weapon. Wei Chang and Qing Su must be found. Especially Wei Chang, just what exactly happened to him? Brother-in-law, this time, I came out to find a person. Qin Yutong, who was standing at the side, said lightly. Yihua asked faintly, who? A guardian. Hearing that, Yihua's brows wrinkled, then said, bring him back. And that big sister and big sister Baiji, how are they now? Qin Yutong asked concernedly. Yihua let out a sigh. If Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were as sensible as Qin Yutong and Qian Yuqing, I would be able to relax a bit. Right after he finished thinking, Qian Yuqing's voice rang out in his mind. Yihua, quickly come back, Qingye and Baiji are going to run away from home. Yihua, running away from home again. Can't these two women change to something else? Why do they keep running away from home every single time? How old are they already? Can't they be a bit less childish and a bit more mature? I am truly convinced. Yihua immediately disappeared into the void. And right now, Qin Yutong's subordinates could only return back to the inn and prepare to think of a way to deal with the unknown evil power. However, Qin Yutong still had to make a trip back to the inn and bring Renyao back. After all, brother-in-law needed to know about the news of the guardian. Back at the inn. Big sister, why did you come back by yourself? Where are the other big sisters? Yang Haotian hurriedly asked. The main thing he wanted to ask was where Yi Zizi went. Where did my red packet go? Right now, Qin Yutong didn't have the mood to talk about anything else. She looked towards Renyao and said, let's go. Renyao had no other choice but to obediently listen to Qin Yutong. What about me, big sister, what about me? Yang Haotian revealed out a fawning smile. At the very least, bring me along, with me, Yang Haotian, big sisters won't be bored. How should I put it, I, Yang Haotian, am also everyone's happy fruit. Chapter 1137. I didn't expect that Yihua would actually join hands with another person and kill his wife's people. Afterward, he even descended with a righteous look on his face. Why would Yihua do such a thing? This time, the victim was Donghuang Baiji. When I thought about how Yihua was still pretending to be dead at that time, and how he was definitely laughing at me and Baiji, I fell for his trick, and I was even moved to the point that I was in a complete mess. When she thought of this matter, she felt that she was just like a fool, being toyed with by Yihua. Yihua. Back then, when Ying family came to attack my voidless realm, was it your plan? Donghuang Baiji was truly unable to take it anymore as she pointed at Yihua and asked. Yihua knew that he wouldn't be able to hide the truth anymore, thus he said gravely, back then, Ying family wanted to attack voidless realm. I'm only letting Lai Gu and Wei Chong go. I'm going to put on a show for you. Qingye shouted out. So, everything that happened back then was all fake. Yihua is so powerful, how is it possible for him to be beaten to a pulp by that black mist figure? I clearly felt that everything that happened back then was all fake, but it turned out that everything that happened back then was all fake. Everything was all fake, it was all an act. Right now, Yihua was also angered as he shouted out angrily, wasn't the reason why I did that for you all. You run away from home so easily, what can I do? Donghuang Baiji suddenly laughed, you are still blaming me and Qingye. Yihua, touch your heart and tell me, how did Qingye and I treat you? When have we ever disobeyed you? Whatever you say, we will listen. We are women. We also need your respect. But you... have you given us any respect? I really didn't expect that you, Yihua, would even want to kill my people. Hearing Donghuang Baiji's words, Yihua felt that, seemed to have that kind of meaning. But no matter what, I am still good to you all. I don't want much from you all, I just want you all to be obedient, what's wrong with that? Baiji. That was something that happened a few years ago. I was indeed at fault in this matter, but I also had my own difficulties. Could it be that you are not at fault as well? Yihua shouted out gravely. I, the Supreme Overlord, can take 70% of the blame for that matter, but the two of you should take 30% of the blame as well. If you hadn't run away from home, that wouldn't have happened. You still refuse to admit your mistakes, and after admitting your mistakes, you still refuse to change. Yihua, why are you always like this? Qingye said angrily. After so many years, you really haven't changed at all. You are still so self-centered, it feels like everyone has to revolve around you, right? Yihua's gaze turned cold, and he immediately shouted out angrily, what did I do wrong? This is the decision made by me. It's all for the team. Perhaps it was because he was too agitated, Yihua's anger instantly erupted. Qian Yuqing quickly left to find her mother. Otherwise, things would definitely fall apart. Qingye and Dongwang Baizhi were not like Qian Yuqing, who had the mindset of an ancient woman, they had the mindset of a modern woman. Yes. You're the boss. We are all your accessories. An item that allowed you to show off your strength. Seeing that Yihua still had the face to throw a tantrum, Donghuang Baizhi became even angrier. Donghuang Baizhi. Yihua shouted out coldly, then instantly arrived before Donghuang Baizhi and raised his palm. Donghuang Baizhi was stupefied, and tears flowed down from her eyes. You want to hit me? What did I do wrong? Go ahead and hit me, just beat me to death today. Qingye came back to her senses and immediately pushed Yihua to the side, then hugged onto Donghuang Baizhi and consoled, Yihua, are you still a human? We abandoned our lives in the other world to follow you, and this is how you treat us. Yes. I am not a human. Alright then. Scram. Get the F***ck out of here. Yihua's anger rose once again. I am just a skeleton. What's wrong? I shouldn't have been a human back then. Ridiculous to the extreme. Qingye and Donghuang Baizhi went into a daze for a moment, then their expressions became firm. All right. We will scram. You can forget about seeing the children forever. You dare. I dare you to bring the children around. Yihua's mood during this period of time wasn't very good. Luckily, Qian Yuqing was there to comfort him. However, tonight, Yihua was already extremely agitated. His subordinates going missing and all sorts of problems added together had already formed a huge amount of pressure. However, at this time, when the two women came to anger him again, he was completely unable to control his emotions. Qingye's temper also came. What's wrong, Yihua? I will explain it to you today. We are definitely going to bring the children away. If you have the ability, go ahead and kill us right now. Qingye. Donghuang Baizhi. Yihua's expression was already distorted to the extreme. This kind of malevolence was something that Qingye and Donghuang Baizhi had never seen before. His pair of tiger eyes were already flickering with red light. To the current Yihua, losing his rationality was an extremely easy thing to do. Looking at Yihua's expression, Qingye and Donghuang Baizhi felt incomparably heartache. You are clearly the one who did the wrong thing. Not only did you not admit your mistake, you are even twisting words and forcing logic, and right now, you even want to kill us. Are you even a man? What's wrong? What's wrong? Why did you start quarreling? At this time, Lu Jing's voice rang out from outside the door, and Qian Yuqing walked in while supporting Lu Jing. Hearing his mother's voice, Yihua's expression eased up a bit, but it was evident that he was still extremely angry. On the way here, Lu Jing also heard what Qian Yuqing said. In summary, her son did something bad in the past and hid it from his daughter-in-law. Now that his daughter-in-law found out about it, she got angry. It was just that simple. When Qingye and Donghuang Baizhi saw that their mother had arrived, they couldn't control themselves anymore and pounced into Lu Jing's embrace and cried bitterly. Your son is bullying others. We are all parents who already have children. It is unavoidable for us to quarrel with each other. However, don't let it get to your head. Make peace the most important thing. Don't you agree, Yihua? Lu Jing asked while looking at her son. Lu Jing didn't have any intention of blaming Yihua. After all, both sides are at fault, which is why such a misunderstanding was created. Yihua remained silent. You want me, the Supreme Overlord, to admit my mistake? Impossible. Mother, I still have something that I need to deal with. Yihua said gravely, then directly walked out of the bedroom. He didn't even bother to coax his mother. Just looking at her makes me feel annoyed. I, the Supreme Overlord, am already in a bad mood, and you still dare to come and make me feel annoyed. Seeing that Yihua actually left, Qingye and Donghuang Baizhi cried even more fiercely. I really want to harden my heart and bring the children back to the bedroom, and no longer care about this overbearing and cold man. If Lu Jing didn't come just now, Qingye and Donghuang Baizhi would have gotten to their heads. After all, when a person gets to their head, they wouldn't care about the consequences. I'm sorry, this son of mine, I am unable to teach him properly. It is all my fault as a mother. Lu Jing was embarrassed to say this in front of Yihua, but now that Yihua had left, she was able to say it. Mother, this has nothing to do with you, it is all Yihua's fault. Not only did he not correct his mistakes, he even refused to listen to his mother. Donghuang Baizhi said while sobbing. Donghuang Baizhi cried, Mother, just now, I really couldn't live on anymore. Yihua was too ruthless, he killed so many of my people. End of this chapter. From her outer appearance, Qing Yutong seemed to be a good girl, and her temperament was also not bad, and she seemed to be more mature. If Qing Yutong were to know of Lu Jing's evaluation of Qing Yutong, she would definitely act coquettishly. After all, Qing Yutong will always be 18 in this lifetime, there is no such thing as maturity. You are? Qing Yutong asked puzzledly. To be able to appear in brother-in-law's bedroom in the middle of the night, could it be, is brother-in-law's taste so heavy now? Yutong, this is Yihua's mother. Qingye said. Qing Yutong was immediately startled, the thought that I had just now was so scary. Fortunately, I didn't say it out. Mother, I am called Qing Yutong, I am brother-in-law's concubine. Qing Yutong directly walked in front of Lu Jing and tried to curry favor with Lu Jing. Qingye felt that. I have spent so many years in vain, and in the blink of an eye, I went to curry favor with my mother-in-law. Don't you know how bitter your sister is feeling right now? Can't you comfort your sister? Good boy, you look so good. Lu Jing was very happy. My son's eyesight is always so outstanding. Look at this Qing Yutong, she looks rather obedient. Qingye's personality is not bad, and this little sister's personality is not too bad either. This was also the first time that Qian Yuqing saw Qing Yutong. The wives that Yihua found are indeed all super beautiful. Lu Jing took the initiative to introduce Qian Yuqing. Yutong, this is Yuqing, Yihua's latest wife. Lu Jing even knows how to tease now. This made Qingye and Donghuang Baizhi, who were heartbroken, to laugh. Mother-in-law is truly a bit mischievous. In actuality, Qingye and Donghuang Baizhi just couldn't accept the fact that it happened too suddenly, and that's why they started quarreling. After all, too much time had passed, it has already been a few years, and the incident had already faded. Just now, if Yihua had coaxed them a bit, they wouldn't have quarreled so fiercely and wanted to fight and kill each other. After hearing that, Qing Yutong smiled towards Qian Yuqing. Hello, brother-in-law's new wife. Hello, Yihua's concubine. Qian Yuqing stretched out her hand, and the two women shook hands, indicating that they were coexisting peacefully. They even felt that the two women had a lot in common. From the looks of it, from today onwards, Qingye and Donghuang Baizhi will be in one group, while Qing Yutong and Qian Yuqing will be in the other group. Lu Jing smiled helplessly. All right, the two of you, don't be so talkative, know your limits. Mother is right. Qin Yutong and Qian Yuqing said at the same time. After finished speaking, the two of them went into a daze and looked at each other. How did you know that I was going to say this? The two of them said at the same time again. My God. Imitate what I said. Misconception, nonsense, don't be like this. The few of them looked at Qin Yutong and Qian Yuqing and said at the same time. Qin Ye and Dong Huang Baiji forgot to be angry. These two treasures, Qin Yutong and Qian Yuqing, held onto their forehead at the same time. All right, it's getting late, the two of you should rest early. Lu Jing said gently, then prepared to return to her bedroom to rest. If the mother-in-law wanted to go back, as the daughter-in-law, no matter what, I have to send her off. The four daughters-in-law escorted the mother-in-law to her bedroom. Within the palace hall, Yihua sat on the throne, and below him stood Yi Zizi, Zhu Tian, Brett, and Ren Yao. Right now, Yihua didn't have the mood to sleep at all. Just now, he had a big fight with his wife. Luckily, Mother came over. If not, she would definitely beat them to death. To actually dare to fight with me again. You are a guardian? Yihua asked towards Ren Yao. This Baldy looks rather weak. Such a weak person is also a guardian? After all, among the guardians that Yihua met, that Su Diao and Xing Tsang were both very strong, but this Baldy is so weak. What Yihua didn't know was that Ren Yao had crushed his strength into a fried egg, which was why his strength was so weak. Ren Yao finally saw the legendary His Honor. Ren Yao only felt that this man is very mysterious. Even the perverted big sister has to stand respectfully in front of this man. From this, it could be seen how terrifying this man is. Thus, I have to answer honestly. That's right, I am a guardian. Then, why are you so weak? Yihua asked back. Ren Yao felt a stabbing pain in her heart. This His Honor is stabbing my chest right now. Replying to your honor, an accident happened, thus I am unable to fully recover my strength. Hearing Ren Yao's explanation, Yihua felt relieved, so that's how it is. Are you the same as other espers? You only remember his name, and nothing else. End of this chapter. Chapter 1139. Yes, what your honor said is correct. Ren Yao replied respectfully. Ren Yao felt that he seemed to know everything. Yihua took a deep breath. These guardians don't know anything, other than their names. What exactly are they guarding? I am very curious right now. However, I will leave Ren Yao behind first. I will take a look at him when the time comes. Go and rest. Yihua said faintly. Ren Yao let out a sigh of relief. This His Honor is rather easy to talk to. He isn't as scary as I imagined him to be. Yes. Ren Yao left respectfully. Only 3 members of the 7 sins remained at the scene. Yihua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up, then began puffing out smoke as he asked faintly, what do you all think about Wei Chang's disappearance? Zhu Tian was not present at the scene, thus he remained silent. However, even after hearing what Tang Wei said, he was still unable to determine the situation at the scene. Brett was not present at the scene, thus he wasn't able to make a judgment. Only Yi Zizi was left. Your Honor, I feel that this is a conspiracy. Yi Zizi said decisively. Yihua asked faintly, why? Intuition. Yi Zizi said confidently. Yihua knew that it would be like this. Zhu Tian, what do you think about this matter? Your Honor, there are a lot of suspicious points in this matter. Although subordinate was not present at the scene, why would such a powerful black-clothed man exchange for something with the gold in his hands? Zhu Tian raised his doubt. Yihua said gravely, the purpose isn't to exchange for something. Zhu Tian mumbled, could it be to lure them? Yihua took a deep breath, then puffed out a mouthful of smoke. If it is to lure them, what is the purpose of it? Also, why would they know about Wei Chang's whereabouts? Or could it be Wei Chang has long been targeted by them? Yihua's questions caused the expressions of the three to darken. If we were targeted long ago. If Wei Chang had been targeted by them long ago, then the strength of the other party must be very strong, and now that Wei Chang has disappeared, I'm afraid that the other party is already dead. Your Honor, the strength of the enemy right now is very strong. I feel that we should take the initiative to attack. We cannot passively defend. Brett's temperament had always been impatient and fiery. Defending was not Brett's character. Taking the initiative to attack was the way of the king. Brett, where do you think we should attack? Yihua asked faintly. This subordinate believes that the mastermind this time should be the God's realm. As long as we kill those people from the God's realm, it will naturally be fine. Brett said respectfully. It was simply an imaginary enemy. Yihua said gravely, that God's realm's emperor is a piece of trash. It is impossible for such a person to exist. Maybe the God's realm is hiding something. Brett said respectfully. In any case, the battle was about to start. It was time to let everyone know the power of a team. Just do it. Do it until everyone was terrified. Yihua took a deep breath. I can't mess around with this matter. Yihua didn't want to fall into the enemy's trap. At that time, he would be laughed at by his enemies. That would be embarrassing, so he had to deal with it calmly. Your Honor, how should we deal with Qing Su? Absolute Heaven asked. Yihua tapped on the armrest with his index finger and said gravely, right now, both Wei Chang and Qing Su have gone missing. If we were to take the initiative to look for them, it would be no different from looking for a needle in a haystack. Then, Your Honor, we have to think of a way, right? I am truly worried about Wei Chang. Yi Zizi's relationship with Wei Chang was still quite good, but when it came to their relationship with their emotions, it was just so. Compared to Qing Su, Wei Chang was definitely more important. Yihua also wanted to think of a way, but right now, he didn't even have a single clue, and he didn't know where to start. You all can go and rest first, let me sort out my thoughts. Yihua said gravely as he rubbed his forehead. The three subordinates left respectfully, and Yihua continued to sit on the throne and pondered. He didn't plan to return to his bedroom anymore, because if he were to return and see those two women, he would feel irritated. They are truly looking for something to do. This is terrible. After walking out of the bedroom, the three didn't leave immediately. What's wrong with Your Honor? In the past, you would always start killing just because you don't get along with each other. Brett said in a low voice. Absolute Heaven pinched onto Brett's cheeks, and the latter pouted her small mouth. In this world, only Absolute Heaven would dare to pinch onto Brett's cheeks like that. Your Honor's mother won't be able to live for much longer. Yi Zizi and Brett didn't know about Lu Jing's matter. After all, back then, both of them had left the bedroom. Your Honor has a mother. Yi Zizi and Brett cried out in surprise. Absolute Heaven nodded his head. A lot of things happened when you two weren't around, let me tell you two about them. All right. Brett said earnestly. After Absolute Heaven told Yi Zizi and Brett about what happened, Yi Zizi and Brett finally understood. His Honor's mother is actually a deity. Meanwhile, His Honor's mother contracted a serious illness, and the medicine was wasted by a palace maid. Furthermore, His Honor's younger brother seems to like this palace maid. My God, what is going on? Why does Yi Zizi feel like she is watching a television show? That's what happened. Recently, His Honor has been very vexed. Qing Su has also disappeared, and there isn't any results from my research. You two shouldn't go and bother His Honor anymore. Absolute Heaven said gravely. Yi Zizi and Brett, who knew about the cause and effect of the matter, finally understood. Yi Zizi asked curiously, was that palace maid killed by his honor? No. Ah. No. Are you sure? Brett was astonished. His honor didn't even kill the palace maid. When did he become so nice to her? Absolute Heaven smiled bitterly. Not only did his honor not kill the palace maid, he even let her out to work in the woodshed. My God, how is this possible? Yi Zizi found it hard to believe. His honor actually became such a saint. This isn't a good thing. Absolute Heaven placed his hand on Yi Zizi's hand, and the three of them walked together. Absolute Heaven said in a low voice, I heard that his honor and his younger brother came to an agreement, which is why he didn't kill the palace maid. So that's how it is, his honor's younger brother likes this palace maid. Absolute Heaven nodded his head. However, the one that Yi Ju Tian is going to marry is another woman. The corner of Brett's mouth twitched. Why do I feel like I am watching a palace drama? How about we go and take a look at this palace maid then? Right now, Yi Zizi was very curious about this palace maid. Brett was also very curious. What kind of palace maid was able to captivate his honor's younger brother? You two sure are gossipy. Absolute Heaven couldn't help but say. Brett pouted his mouth. You can choose not to come. Wife, accompanying you is my responsibility. Absolute Heaven hurriedly followed after Brett. He discovered that Brett had become a lot sexier recently. On the other side, Qingya and the others sent Lu Jing back to her bedroom, and the four noble women were walking in the imperial palace. Qingya and Dong Huang Baiji were still very angry. It has been such a long time, yet I still haven't seen Yi Ziqin. Qing Yutong decided to stand up for her brother-in-law and said, Big sister Baiji, you two shouldn't have quarreled with brother-in-law. End of chapter. Chapter 1140. Qing Yutong, just whose side are you standing on? Qingya was drunk. Is this little sister of mine a fake? Every single time, he would stand on Yi Hua's side. Qing Yutong said gravely, too many things happened tonight. Lai Gu was poisoned, and the person who poisoned him was one of brother-in-law's subordinates, Qing Su, and that Qing Su kidnapped Dou Fushi and brought him away. His whereabouts are unknown, and the most important thing is Wei Chang gone missing. Moreover, he disappeared after fighting with someone, and now brother-in-law can't be contacted. After Qing Yutong finished speaking, both Qingya and Dong Huang Baiji remained silent. There were still a lot of things that Qian Yuqing didn't understand. For example, those subordinates of Yi Hua. Sometimes, Qian Yuqing basically didn't know who was who, and Yi Hua also didn't bring Qian Yuqing along to get to know them. Therefore, when Qian Yuqing heard what Qian Yuqing said, Qian Yuqing was also confused. She only knew that the person who was very important to Yi Hua had disappeared. Qingya and Dong Huang Baiji were both rather shocked. Wei Chang actually went missing as well. Wei Chang and Yi Hua's relationship was so good, Yi Hua would definitely be worried about Wei Chang's disappearance. Right now, Dong Huang Baiji still remembered that Wei Chang was by Yi Hua's side when they went to the bar. Wei Chang's disappearance definitely caused Yi Hua's mood to be bad. Even Dou Fushi was kidnapped. Too many misfortunes had happened on this night. Big sister Baiji, brother-in-law's mood tonight is truly not good. You two can find trouble with brother-in-law another day, just let brother-in-law deal with everything first. Qing Yutong suggested. As long as you two don't go and cause trouble for brother-in-law, it will be fine. Qingya had a whole new level of respect for her younger sister. I didn't expect that her younger sister would change after going out this time. Qingya patted onto Qing Yutong's shoulder and said earnestly, Yutong, big sister is very gratified right now, you have finally matured. Qing Yutong, to hell with being mature, Qing Yutong, am still young and inexperienced, I am 18 years old every year, okay? On the other side, Yi Zizi, Brett, and Ju Tian arrived at the woodshed. It was already so late, but the three of them could still hear the sound of wood being chopped in the woodshed. The three took a look at each other. There's still someone who hasn't slept yet. The three of them did not enter from the front. Instead, they appeared in the woodshed while invisible and walked toward the figure chopping firewood. When they saw this woman, Zizi and Brett both had looks of surprise on their faces. What a beautiful woman! Even Absolute Heaven expressed that she was very beautiful. Although he had sneaked a peek at her before, now that he saw her for the second time, he still felt that she was very beautiful. Zizi and Brett finally understood why His Honor's younger brother would be infatuated with Zizi. This kind of woman indeed deserves to be infatuated with. But, there seemed to be something wrong with this woman. She was chopping firewood so late at night, and her face was pale and haggard, as if she was injured by something. The webbing between his thumb and forefinger was red, and there were red marks on the handle of the axe. Wushu Empire's night was still very cold, but there were still beads of sweat that were dripping down her forehead, flowing down her cheeks, and falling onto the ground. Dust rose up into the air. This woman was naturally Yi. Why does she look so miserable? Brett asked curiously. Zizi also felt the same. Originally, I hated it. After all, I did something wrong, and it is normal for me to be punished by His Honor. However, looking at Yi's current appearance, I feel that she is so pitiful. A girl like this is still chopping firewood, and the web between her thumb and index finger is bleeding, Zhu Tian said softly. It's all because of Yi Juetian. Why? Zizi asked curiously. Because Yi Juetian is going to get married to Gong Yu. Zhu Tian shook his head helplessly. The news of Yi Juetian and Gong Yu getting married had long been spread throughout the palace. Yi, who had just been released, was still waiting for Yi Juetian to come and explain, and unexpectedly, what she received was indeed such a grievous news. Yi really wanted to go and find Yi Juetian and ask him why, such a big matter, why didn't you ask me? Yi had been waiting for Yi Juetian to come and explain everything every day, but Yi Juetian didn't come at all. Yi even heard that Yi Juetian and Gong Yu were inseparable, and they were extremely loving. This made Yi feel so much pain that she wished she was dead. Yi often asked herself why this was happening. Could it be that it was because I was born in a lowly position? To be looked down upon by everyone, even the person that one loves the most is the same. Her heart was like dead ashes. This was Yi's current state. As women, Zizi and Brett felt that Yi was pitiful. Therefore, there was nothing to hide, and Yi directly revealed herself. Yi suddenly saw two women appearing in front of her. One of them was cute, and the other was tall and sexy, but she didn't recognize either of them. However, when she saw Zhu Tian, who was at the back, Yi recognized Zhu Tian and immediately knelt onto the ground to greet him. You can get up. Zhu Tian said faintly. Thank you, Lord. Yi slowly stood up, then slightly lowered her head and stood at the side, not speaking. Brett didn't really like Yi's attitude. In any case, he just disliked Yi. Why are you afraid of us? Brett asked gravely. Yi lowered her head and didn't speak. Why aren't you speaking? Brett asked again. However, Yi still lowered her head and didn't speak. Zhu Tian pulled onto Brett's sleeve. Don't ask anymore, she rarely speaks. Indeed, the current Yi didn't speak at all. No matter how others bullied her, she wouldn't speak. It was just like how Yi Juetian saw Yi for the first time on the street. Brett took a look at Yi, then disappeared from the spot. Zhu Tian followed after Brett and left. Zizi raised her head and looked towards Yi, then took out a lollipop and placed it in Yi's hand. This is very sweet, it might be able to make you feel a bit better. After finished speaking, Zizi disappeared from the spot as well. Yi held onto the lollipop in her hand and stood there for a very long time. Soon after, Yi lightly opened the packaging of the lollipop and looked at the pink ball. Yi stuck out her tongue and licked the lollipop, and a sweet taste lingered in her mouth. The lollipop is indeed delicious, and my mood became slightly better. Yi licked a few mouthfuls of the lollipop, then kept it away. I will only eat it when my mood is bad. Picking up the axe at the side, Yi arranged the wooden block properly, then raised the axe and chopped down. I wonder if Yi imagined the wooden block to be Yi Juetian. If I continue chopping down the wooden block like this, it will definitely feel great, right? Within the palace hall, Yi Hua pondered for a very long time, then called out, "White bones." The palace hall remained silent for 2 seconds, then a voice sounded out, "Your Honor. I have a mission to give you, and this mission might be rather difficult." Yi Hua said gravely. After thinking for a while, he felt that it would be better for him to let White Bones go out right now, because it would be much safer. After all, since White Bones was able to make Wei Chang go missing, then White Bones would also be able to make Yi Zizi and the others cause trouble for Yi Zizi and the others. "I am willing to go through fire and water for your honor." White Bones shouted out respectfully. "You were originally Cayenne's subordinate, but this time, the team is facing a crisis, and it is inconvenient for other people to go out." Subordinate understands. End of this chapter. Prime Minister Shan, I can't even care about Yuanqing's matters anymore, and he even got into a fight with me just now. Yi Shan said helplessly. The meaning behind his words was that he couldn't make the decision himself, or else he should go and ask his daughter. Shan Junren naturally understood what Yi Shan meant and said with a smile, "Lord Yi, let us enter the palace first." "Prime Minister Shan, please leave first." "You are too polite." Yi Shan knew that the reason why Shan Junren behaved like this was all because of Yi Hua. The reason why they are so respectful to Yi Hua is all because of that unfilial son. It isn't because of me. A father is becoming more and more powerful because of his son. This is simply a humiliation to me. Along the way, Yi Shan heard other people addressing him respectfully. Before Yi Hua appeared, these people wouldn't even dare to let out a fart. Look at now, they have all given quite a lot of good things to Yi Hua. This is the doing of a lowly person. Trash. The civil and military officials arrived at the palace and stood to the left and right. Right now, Yi Yuanqing was standing at the very front, and he looked rather formidable. Yi Shan could only stand at the back of the line, and this was enough to prove how low his position was. "Your Majesty has arrived." Along with a high-pitched voice, Wang Feidi, who was wearing an emperor robe, appeared. For a person to still be able to smile so happily after losing 2 of his sons not too long ago, it could only be Wang Feidi. However, the smile that Wang Feidi was smiling at right now was because he was smiling at Yi Hua. "Your mother is going to die soon, and I, the emperor, am happy. Didn't you just prevent me from touching a woman? What's the big deal about that? I will just not touch a woman. Do you think that you will be able to make me feel uncomfortable just because of that?" Upon thinking about how furious Yi Hua was that day, Wang Feidi felt very happy. End of this chapter. Chapter 1142. Not only am I going to kill your mother, I am also going to kill your entire family and give your women to the dirtiest beggars. Just thinking about it makes me feel great. Blessings to your Majesty. The civil and military officials lowered their heads and shouted. Huang Feidi opened up his arms and took a deep breath, preparing to shout out, but suddenly, he felt a chill on his neck, as if he was pricked by an ice needle. After a long time, the civil and military officials were very curious as to why Huang Feidi still hasn't shouted out. "Your Majesty! Your Majesty!" The eunuch who was standing beside Huang Feidi shouted out. The eunuch shouted out a few times, but the emperor didn't reply. The eunuch turned his head and took a look. The eunuch finally shouted out a scream that sounded like a woman's. Following the eunuch's shout, the civil and military officials all raised their heads and looked towards Huang Feidi. They immediately sucked in a breath of cold air. Boiling hot blood could be seen flowing out from Huang Feidi's neck. His imperial robe was already dyed red by the blood, and Huang Feidi still had his hands spread out. "Your Majesty! There's an assassin! Your Majesty! What happened to you?" The entire palace was in chaos. "All of you, shut up!" Shan Junren shouted out angrily. Yi Yuanqing looked at Huang Feidi, who was high above, and said gravely, "His Majesty has already passed away." Although he didn't dare to believe it, Yi Yuanqing had no choice but to believe the truth in front of him. His Majesty died in front of everyone's eyes. Just who was it? Who had such great capability? At least half of the people present were supremes, and no matter how powerful the assassin was, there would definitely be some sort of aura fluctuation. Furthermore, Huang Feidi was a supreme himself, and now, he died for no reason. "General Yi, what do you think?" Shan Junren asked gravely. Yi Yuanqing shook his head. "I don't know, His Majesty was definitely killed by someone, but this person is either too strong, or he is just air. Even His Majesty's primordial spirit was eliminated." Everyone's expression was grave. The Emperor of God's realm was assassinated in front of the civil and military officials. Just how much of a face slap is this? "Prime Minister Shan, we should prepare for His Majesty's funeral," Yi Yuanqing said lightly. Shan Junren looked at the people behind him and asked softly, "General Yi, how are we going to choose the crown prince?" For a prime minister to ask such a thing, it was obvious that he wanted Yi Yuanqing to make the decision. Right now, there were even a lot of people who were looking at Yi Yuanqing. His Majesty suddenly died just like that. Could it be that Prince Yi did it? Yi Yuanqing had no intention of usurping the throne. Even if he wanted to, it would not be justifiable. Seeing that Yi Yuanqing was silent, Shan Junren whispered, "Does Prince Yi have any arrangements?" Shan Junren was full of tricks. He just wanted to ask if Lord Yi was behind this assassination. Yi Yuanqing said in a deep voice, "Prime Minister Shan, my big brother is not in the God's realm. But General Yi, this is a rare opportunity, please inform Prince Yi." Shan Junren said in a low voice and walked away. Yi Yuanqing was a little hesitant and looked at his father. His father's face was filled with panic, as if he was afraid of getting into trouble. Yi Yuanqing shook his head. "Ask his father. There won't be any results if I do that. I might as well go and ask Big Brother, how is he going to resolve this matter? Should he join hands with Shan Junren to seize the throne? Or should he just do his job?" Yi Yuanqing looked towards the golden bright and dazzling throne with a grave expression on his face. Of course, there was also Huang Fei, who was still standing. Even though he was already dead, his eyes were still filled with disbelief. Why did he die just like that? Just who was he killed? I don't even know why he died so mysteriously. However, the murderer had already left the God's realm a long time ago. To kill a trash, it was as easy as waving his hand. Huang Fei's death shook the entire spiritual city. However, the news of him being assassinated was buried. Everyone said that the emperor suddenly fell ill and died after vomiting a few mouthfuls of blood. Who came up with this excuse? Don't you think that this is too sloppy? A supreme martial artist died after vomiting a few mouthfuls of blood. Is this a joke? But no matter what, the emperor died. This was what everyone was concerned about. Furthermore, the problem now was, the emperor died, who was going to be the emperor? Among those princes of Huang Fei, all of them were idling around and not doing proper work. Even the more outstanding Huang Yun had died, and there was also the eldest prince Huang Li. Who else had the qualifications to be the emperor? However, right at this moment, someone shouted out that it was perfectly justifiable for Prince Yi to be the emperor. Although they did not have the same surname, they were still princes. However, this saying received a heavy blow from the royal family. A prince with another surname wants to be the emperor. Impossible. Right at this moment, someone questioned, other than Prince Yi, who else had the qualifications to be the emperor? The emperors of the gods' realm were basically all supported by the people. Of course, they were supported by the royal family. This was also why Huang Yun cared so much about the opinions of the people. Huang Fei was the same as well. If not for taking into consideration the opinions of the people, Huang Fei would have directly killed him. However, the problem now was that there were no outstanding people in the royal family, and all of them were trash. You want to let trash become the emperor? The people couldn't afford to lose face like that. If Huang Yun knew that such a thing would happen, he would definitely act calmly. Right now, the throne was on his head, there was no need to fight over it at all. The emperor died, and the entire spiritual city was in a mess. Everyone was discussing about the issue of the new emperor. Right now, Yi Yuanqing was already standing at the entrance of Wushu Empire, and he was amazed by Big Brother's city. Such a tall and luxurious city wall, Big Brother is just too rich, isn't he? So reflective, so dazzling, this city wall is even sturdier than spiritual city's city wall, Big Brother is truly formidable. After walking into the city, Yi Yuanqing saw a different city. The streets here were very wide, much wider than spiritual cities, and the people walking on the streets were not crowded at all. Furthermore, the streets were very busy, and the people were very friendly with each other. Everyone had a blissful smile on their faces, and they were very satisfied with their current lives. Yi Yuanqing thought to himself, Big Brother is truly a genius, to be able to manage an empire properly. Perhaps, if Big Brother is able to become the emperor of the gods' realm, it would be a blessing for the people. Thinking up to here, Yi Yuanqing seemed to have made up his mind and walked towards the royal palace. Right now, Yi Hua was currently in deep thought in his study room. Hearing that his little sister had come, Yi Hua slightly went into a daze, and a trace of a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. His mood became slightly better. Yuanqing. Seeing that his little sister walked over, Yi Hua said with a slight smile. Yi Yuanqing pretended to be confused. Should I call you Big Brother Emperor, or Big Brother? Up to you, as long as you are happy. Yi Hua stretched out his hand and patted onto Yi Yuanqing's head. The latter enjoyed this kind of action very much. Yuanqing, why did you come? Qian Yuqing, who was standing at the side, cried out in surprise. Sister-in-law, wow. How long has it been since we last met? How did you become so beautiful? It can't be that you had sex with Big Brother, right? End of this chapter. Chapter 1143. Qian Yuqing blushed. You're an unmarried girl. You really have a big mouth. When the time comes, no one will want you. Sister-in-law is shy. Yi Yuanqing teased. Sister-in-law could only be like this in front of his brother. Yi Yuanqing's arrival had indeed made the atmosphere a lot better, and it also made Yi Hua slightly happier. Big Brother, Huang Fei has died. Yi Yuanqing said gravely, then looked at his big brother. Qian Yuqing's eyes widened in shock as she exclaimed, What? Huang Fei is dead. When did that happen? A few days ago. Yi Hua acted as if he didn't hear anything and continued to ponder about his own matters. Big Brother. Yi Yuanqing called softly. Yi Hua raised his head and looked towards his little sister, then responded with an "Oh." He didn't put the matter to heart at all. However, Yi Yuanqing had a guess in his heart. The emperor's death was definitely related to his big brother. This time, he came down to ask his big brother. Big Brother, Huang Fei's death. Before Yi Yuanqing could finish speaking, Yi Hua said lightly, Big Brother, I was the one who asked someone to do it. Ah! Yi Yuanqing and Qian Yuqing exclaimed at the same time. Yi Yuanqing didn't expect that Big Brother was the one who did it. His brain couldn't react. Big Brother, why? Yi Yuanqing didn't understand. Why did Big Brother want to do it now? If he wanted to do it, he could have done it earlier. Why did he do it now? I can't stand the sight of him. Yi Hua said coldly. That damned Huang Feidi. Let him die a little more quickly. It was a painless death. Indeed, Huang Feidi didn't even feel anything before he died. Qian Yuqing was a bit afraid. She was afraid that Yi Hua would start a war with the deities. It had been a period of time since I stayed at Yi Hua's side. The military strength of the entire voidless empire was scarce, and when compared to God's realm, the difference between the military strength of voidless empire and God's realm was like heaven and earth. Qian Yuqing still didn't know the strength of Yi Hua's subordinates. The battle of the 7 deadly sins wasn't a battle of attrition. Take Qing Su for example, no matter where he went, he would be able to poison a group of people. Furthermore, there was also Yi Zizi's great absorption technique, coupled with Wei Chang's great absorption technique. No matter how many people there were, it would be useless. Unfortunately, Wei Chang had disappeared and his whereabouts were unknown. Big Brother, why did you suddenly attack now? Does Big Brother want to? Yi Hua lightly waved his hand, and the conversation between him and Huang Feidi appeared. Yi Yuanqing was shocked and quickly asked, Big Brother, what happened to Aunt Lu? Mother doesn't have much spiritual spring left, and it was wasted by a palace maid. Yi Hua said coldly. Right now, he was filled with anger. This palace maid was sent by Huang Feidi. Yi Hua said gravely, most likely. This Huang Feidi. Damn it. Yi Yuanqing said hatefully. He deserved to die. Yi Hua asked faintly, what is the current situation in Spirit City? Now that Huang Feidi is dead, who will be the new emperor? Big Brother, your voice is very loud right now. As long as Big Brother is willing to go back, Prime Minister Shan said that Big Brother can definitely become the emperor of the gods' realm. In Yi Yuanqing's heart, if Big Brother really killed the emperor, then Big Brother should have the idea of becoming the emperor. However, Yi Yuanqing was wrong. The reason why Yi Hua killed Huang Feidi was not for the throne. In Yi Hua's heart, the throne was just a decoration. Not interested, Big Brother, I still have a lot of things that I have to deal with. Yi Hua said calmly. How can the throne be more important than Mother's illness and Wei Chang? In Qian Yuqing's heart, she also felt that Yi Hua should go back and fight for the throne. After all, the emperor of the gods' realm is much more powerful than this emperor. After all, that emperor is able to control a lot of planes. Even Kangluo continent is just one of the bigger planes. However, when Yi Yuanqing heard what his big brother said, he felt a wave of disappointment. Big Brother is actually not interested. Yi Hua stood up and walked to his sister's side, then patted on her shoulder and said, Yuanqing, you can become the emperor. Me? Big Brother, stop joking around, there has never been a woman who has become the emperor of the gods' realm. Yi Yuanqing said fearfully. He was frightened by his big brother's terrifying thought. Yi Hua laughed lightly, Yuanqing, Big Brother killed Huang Feidi, and that was also to pave the way for you. If you sit on the throne, what difference would there be between Big Brother sitting on the throne and you sitting on the throne? Yi Yuanqing didn't expect that his big brother would actually have such a thought. Yi Yuanqing was very touched. Big Brother is actually paving the way for me, and it is even a throne. A throne that everyone covets, Big Brother is giving it to me just like that. Big Brother trusts me so much. Tell that Shan Junren, if he is sensible, then stand on my side, if not. Yi Hua sent out a death notice. If one stands on my side, at least one won't die. If one stands on the opposite side of my main body, other than death, there is no other possibility. Big Brother. I am still not mentally prepared. In the end, Yi Yuanqing is a woman, this throne is not a daughter-in-law. And from Big Brother's mouth, whoever he wants to sit on the throne can sit on it. That throne has been sat on by the royal family for 10,000 years, and now that the throne has suddenly changed to another surname, it is inevitable that an accident will occur. Yihua wasn't very anxious and said lightly, "It's fine, you will get used to it in the future. For the next few days, you will properly have fun at Big Brother's place and think about how you should walk your path in the future. Big Brother still wants you to sit on the throne. Who said that women can't sit on the throne? Big Brother wants you to break this convention." Hearing what Big Brother said, Yi Yuanqing's blood started boiling. That's right, all these years, didn't I want to prove that women can also do what men can do? Thank you, Big Brother, I will properly think about it. Yi Yuanqing said respectfully. Yihua treated this little sister very well, and he felt that Yi Yuanqing was very sensible, even more sensible than his own younger brother. After a period of time, Zhu Tian will be getting married. At that time, you should attend the wedding first before going back. Yihua added. Yi Yuanqing cried out in surprise once again. Oh. Little Tian is getting married. With who? Yuqing, bring Yuanqing over to take a look, I still have a lot of things to think about. Xian Yuqing knew that during this period of time, Yihua was very vexed and had a lot of things to do. Thus, she gave Yi Yuanqing an eye signal, and Yi Yuanqing immediately understood. Big Brother, that little sister has gone out. Yihua nodded his head. The two women walked outside, and Yi Yuanqing asked curiously, "Sister-in-law, just what is going on with that palace maid?" Xian Yuqing sighed helplessly. Too many things have happened during this period of time. Little Tian likes that palace maid. Little Tian likes that palace maid. What is going on? Didn't that palace maid harm Aunt Lu? Yi Yuanqing felt that his brain wasn't enough to process what was going on. This relationship is a bit complicated. Yuanqing, in actuality, I feel that that palace maid shouldn't have been sent by Huang Feidi, and Yihua should have thought wrongly. However, Yihua is very sensitive towards this matter, and no matter who brings up this matter, he would not show a good expression. End of this chapter. Chapter 1144. This is also because of Auntie Lu. Big Brother is very filial. Yi Yuanqing could understand his big brother. Sigh, that palace maid's life is actually quite bitter. Xian Yuqing sighed. Sister-in-law, take me to see little Tian first. Yes. The two of them quickly arrived at Yi Juetian's sleeping quarters. It was broad daylight, and Yi Juetian was sitting in the pavilion drinking tea. Gong Yu sat at the side and played the zither. The pleasant sound of the zither floated in the air, very pleasing to the ear. As expected of a talented woman, Gong Yu was well versed in all kinds of martial arts. Such a woman was indeed a very good marriage partner. However, Yi Juetian did not feel anything from the beginning to the end. His entire mind was focused on Yi. Gong Yu, who was playing the zither, could feel that although Yi Juetian was faking it with her, Yi Juetian was still thinking about the woodshed. Why? Why can't I, Gong Yu, compare to a lowly servant? I can play the zither and pour water for you. In the future, I can even give birth to a child and help you in your career. But what can that Yi give you? Apart from acting coquettishly, what else was there to do? Little Tian. Yi Yuanqing shouted out. This fellow seems to have become more mature, unlike how he used to be in the Yi family. Men could only mature after experiencing love. Second sister, Yi Juetian immediately stood up. He was very excited. Gong Yu, who was at the side, also stopped playing her zither, and respectfully stood behind Yi Juetian. When Yi Yuanqing walked over, Gong Yu obediently greeted, Sister-in-law, second sister. Yi Yuanqing looked at Gong Yu and felt that the two of them were quite compatible. It was a good thing to see little Tian get married. Lil Tian, you've changed from a boy to a man now, right? Yi Yuanqing couldn't help but tease and pat Yi Juetian's shoulder. Yi Yuanqing was a general. When he was at the border, he was surrounded by men. Hence, he sometimes spoke like a man. But in front of her big brother, she still acted like a daughter and was very respectful. Yi Juetian laughed dryly. There is indeed such a thing where a boy becomes a man, but that was an accident. Gong Yu blushed. She didn't expect her second sister to be so bold. Qian Yuqing tugged at Yi Yuanqing, indicating that he was a bit dirty now. I'll go get some water for sister-in-law and second sister. Gong Yu jogged away, her face red from being teased. After Gong Yu left, Yi Yuanqing chuckled and said, "Not bad, little Tian is very good at picking up girls. It hasn't been long since we last met and he has already gotten himself a beauty." Second big sister, don't laugh at me anymore, Gong Yu and I are just pretending, that's all. Yi Juetian let out a long sigh. Sister-in-law knew about his situation, so there was nothing for Yi Juetian to hide. Qian Yuqing sighed softly. Yi Yuanqing glanced at his sister-in-law, confused. Little Tian, what's wrong with you? You bullied her, and you're still pretending. Second big sister, this matter is a long story. The person I like is someone else. That palace maid? Yi Yuanqing asked in a deep voice. Yes. Then do you know that the palace maid harmed Auntie Lo? Yi Yuanqing questioned. Yi Juetian raised his head, looked at Yi Yuanqing, and said firmly, "Second sister, Yi will definitely not do that kind of thing. I dare to use my life to guarantee it." Little Tian, then what do you want to do now? Yi Yuanqing asked in a low voice. Yi Juetian said helplessly, I can only marry Gong Yu, only then will I be able to protect Yi's life. Big brother promised me this. No wonder big brother didn't kill that palace maid, so it turns out that he had an agreement with little Tian. After all, framing Auntie Lo, it was already a miracle that the palace maid didn't die. Little Tian, right now, Wang Feidi is dead. Yi Yuanqing said in a low voice. What? Dead? Yi Juetian cried out in surprise. I originally wanted to help Yi clear her name, but this Wang Feidi actually died. Right now, who can clear Yi's name? There's no one left. Yi will have to bear the crime of murdering her mother for the rest of her life. Yi Juetian held onto his forehead with both of his hands, appearing to be in great pain. How did he die? It was Big Brother who ordered people to go and kill him. Yi Yuanqing said lightly. The death of such a big emperor, when spoken like this, made it seem as if it was very normal, and there was no need to take it to heart at all. Wang Feidi deserved to die. Yi Juetian didn't have any thoughts about it, but right now, the dead can't testify. At this time, Gong Yu walked over while carrying a cup of tea. Yi Yuanqing revealed a gentle smile. He suddenly felt that this woman was rather pitiful, and he could clearly feel that she liked little Tian. However, little Tian liked another woman, and the most painful thing in life was none other than the person you liked falling in love with someone else. Juetian, sister-in-law, second sister, have some tea. Gong Yu shouted respectfully and poured more tea for the three of them. Yi Yuanqing could only smile and say, sister-in-law is very virtuous. Second sister, you must be joking, I am just doing what I should do. Gong Yu said with a slight smile. If it wasn't for little Tian liking another woman, Yi Yuanqing would feel that Gong Yu was very compatible with little Tian. However, Yi Yuanqing was also very curious about that exactly what kind of woman could make little Tian so infatuated with her. The four sat together and chatted for a while, and after that, Yi Yuanqing decided to go and take a look at that After walking out of the bedroom, Yi Yuanqing said lightly, sister-in-law, bring me to take a look at that Are you really going? And I want to see what kind of person she is, so that I can have an estimate in my heart. Yi Yuanqing wanted to see why this Yi was able to obtain little Tian's trust, and whether or not she was Huang Feidi's secret agent. Qian Yuqing nodded her head, and the two of them walked towards the woodshed. During the day, the door of the woodshed was wide open. Before Qian Yuqing and Yi Yuanqing even walked into the woodshed, they heard a burst of ear-piercing cheers, and the sound of whips could also be heard. This lowly servant girl actually likes Lord Yi. Even in her dreams, she calls out Lord Ye's name. Why don't you take a look at your own status? Is Lord Yi someone you can climb up to? Ugly duckling, do you want to eat Dragon King meat? You think that just because you look good, you can dream of being a princess? Watch how I beat you to death, lowly servant girl. Pa, pa, pa. Qian Yuqing's expression sunk, and she hurriedly ran inside, and Yi Yuanqing also hurriedly followed after her. The scene that appeared in front of them caused Qian Yuqing and Yi Yuanqing's expression to sink. 4 or 5 palace maids surrounded a palace maid and mocked and ridiculed her, and that palace maid was even curled up, allowing one of the palace maids to whip her. Although they were all ordinary people, but when they whipped a human body, that kind of pain was still very unbearable. Furthermore, even her clothes were torn. The degree of savageness was enough to make one's hair stand up in anger. What are you doing? Qian Yuqing shouted coldly. These palace maids were originally sent here because they committed crimes, so they were all not good women, and their jealousy was very strong. Actually, this was already not the first time that Yi was bullied, but Yi had always been enduring it, and was still waiting for Yi Juetian to give her an explanation. End of this chapter. Chapter 1145. Empress, good luck. The palace maids immediately kneeled down in fear. Yi slightly raised her head and looked towards Qian Yuqing. Yi had a good impression of Qian Yuqing. She used all of her strength to bow towards Qian Yuqing. That action of hers made one's heart ache. Yi Yuanqing could already feel that the palace maid who was beaten up was Yi. She is indeed beautiful, no wonder little Tian likes her. But, why was she beaten up like this? What happened? Qian Yuqing questioned coldly. The palace maids looked at each other and didn't know how to answer. However, Yi said weakly, Empress, I didn't do my job well, that's why I was punished. The palace maids let out a breath. At least you know how to plead for us, if not I will beat you to death. Qian Yuqing was very angry. She stretched out her palm and waved it. Paw paw paw. The palace maids immediately felt pain on their faces as they were slapped away. They fell to the side and wailed. Scram! Qian Yuqing shouted coldly. The palace maids endured the pain and kneeled down. Empress, please spare us. Scram! The palace maids were delighted. However, they didn't expect that Yi would actually have the Empress backing her up. Her background is so big. It seems like I have to be more careful in the future. The palace maids left obediently. Qian Yuqing walked to the front of Yi and helped the pitiful Yi up. Are you all right? Empress, I am fine. Yi squeezed out a trace of a smile. Qian Yuqing directly rolled up Yi's sleeves. The red scars on Yi's sleeves were very shocking. The scars on Yi's shoulders were the same. Qian Yuqing directly lifted up Yi's clothes, and on Yi's fair back, sinister wounds could be seen. Qian Yuqing felt that I should have killed those palace maids just now. They are actually so vicious. Yi Yuanqing stood at the side and didn't speak. However, her eyebrows were tightly wrinkled. I never expected that the girl that little Tian likes would actually be abused here. Qian Yuqing couldn't bear to see Yi like this. She decided to have a good talk with Yi tonight. Yi is definitely not a spy. If I didn't come today, Yi might have been beaten to death by those palace maids. I am really fine. Yi squeezed out a gentle smile and placed down Yi's clothes. Qian Yuqing released a white glow and instantly healed Yi's injuries. You've suffered. Hearing those 3 words, the grievances in Yi's heart immediately gushed out. She wasn't afraid of being beaten by others, and she wasn't afraid of being mocked by others, but she was afraid of being cared for by others. Tears flowed down from Yi's exquisite face. Qian Yuqing's heart ached for Yi too, and she lightly hugged onto Yi. All right, don't cry anymore. Yi Yuanqing was now a little doubtful. Was such a woman a spy? In that case, they were either too good at acting, using their lives to be spies, or they were wrongly accused. But looking at the current situation, it did seem that he was wronged. If he didn't come today, it would be normal for him to be beaten to death. How could she have predicted his return? Let's go. Don't wait any longer. Qian Yuqing said softly. If you continue to wait like this, you will lose your life. Yi shook her head and whispered, Empress, I'm not leaving. Why? If you continue like this, something bad will happen. I also don't wish to see the Empress being punished because of my matter. I am guilty, these punishments are what I deserve. In actuality, Yi didn't wish for others to be harmed because of her matter. If I were to be let go by the Empress, the Emperor would definitely hold me accountable. For me, it isn't worth it. Furthermore, I am still waiting for an explanation. Even if I have to wait till the end of time, I still want to wait for this explanation. You silly girl, why bother? Qian Yuqing lightly stroked onto Yi's hair. Can't you think for yourself? At this moment, Yi Yuanqing, who was standing at the side, asked, Yi, do you really like Xiao Tian? Yi raised her head and looked towards Yi Yuanqing. Her gaze was filled with doubt. I am Yi Juetian's second sister. Yi Yuanqing added. So it is Ye's second sister. Yi immediately felt afraid. Perhaps it was because of her big brother, Yi Hua. Yi felt that this second sister of hers is probably not that easy to talk to. Qian Yuqing could sense that Yi's body was trembling. Seems like Yi is truly afraid of Yi Hua. Furthermore, upon hearing that Yi is Yi Hua's little sister, Yi immediately thought that Yi is the same as Yi Hua. Yi, don't be afraid. Qian Yuqing's words were still useful. In this kind of palace, the only person that Yi could trust was Qian Yuqing. In Yi's heart, she didn't know if she should trust Yi Juetian or not. Yi Yuanqing sighed in his heart, not knowing what to say. Yi only managed to calm herself down after a long while. Just now, her emotions were a bit big. After all, Yi was also an ordinary person, and even if she wasn't made of iron, she still had emotions. Empress, is Ye going to get married soon? Yi asked in a low voice. Her disappointment was clear to see. Qian Yuqing sighed lightly. Yes, very soon. Yi bit her lips tightly. Oh. Yi, take it slow, don't do anything foolish, understand? I will think of a way for you. Qian Yuqing warned. She was afraid that Yi would take things too hard, and if that happened, all the things that Xiao Tian did would be wasted. Looking at Yi's lifeless look, Qian Yuqing wanted to tell Yi that in actuality, Xiao Tian got married in order to save your life. However, Qian Yuqing was afraid that if she were to tell Yi about this matter, Yi would have even more terrifying thoughts, and by then, it would be even more troublesome. However, if I don't tell Yi about this matter, am I going to let Yi continue to be sad? I am truly in a dilemma. Chapter 1146. Feeling that special sweetness, Yi felt comfortable in her heart. Then, she wrapped it up in paper and ate it when she was in a bad mood. However, when she thought about how Ye was about to get married, Yi felt uncomfortable. It has been so long, why isn't there a single explanation? Even if it's just a simple explanation, I don't want much, I just want a sentence. Yi slightly raised her head and looked at the sky above the palace. The sky was no longer as blue as before. Qian Yuqing and Yi Yuanqing arrived at Lu Jing's bedroom and discovered that Yi Hua was discussing something with his mother. "Aunt Lu." Yi Yuanqing called out sweetly. "Yuanqing is here, quickly let Aunt Lu take a look." Lu Jing's mood was very good as she smiled towards Yi Yuanqing. Yi Yuanqing walked to Lu Jing's side and held on to Lu Jing's hand. "Aunt Lu, you are much prettier than before." "Then, wasn't Aunt Lu beautiful before?" Lu Jing asked back. Yi Yuanqing didn't know what to say. This reaction caused Lu Jing to laugh. "Aunt Lu, you are teasing Yuanqing again." Yi Yuanqing acted coquettishly. Lu Jing lightly caressed Yi Yuanqing's hair. At this moment, 3 figures appeared at the door. Qingye, Donghuang Baizhi, and Qing Yutong could be seen slowly walking in. It had been a few days since Yi Hua last talked to Qingye and Donghuang Baizhi. Right now, no one was talking to each other. "Mother." The 3 respectfully called out. "Sister-in-law is here." Yi Yuanqing smiled happily. Although she had never seen Qing Yutong before, she had heard about her. Qing Yutong looked at Yi Yuanqing with a dumbfounded look on her face. Could this be brother-in-law's concubine again? She looks quite pretty. Brother-in-law finally understands and knows how to expand his harem. "Yutong, this is Yi Hua's sister." Qingye introduced, not letting her sister think too much. Qing Yutong's mouth twitched. So she is brother-in-law's sister, my God. I was thinking too much just now. What a scary thought. "Hello, sister-in-law." "Hello, sister-in-law." Yi Yuanqing could feel that Qing Yutong's personality was very easy to get along with. However, Yi Yuanqing also felt that Big Brother seemed to have quarreled with the 2 sisters-in-law. Big Brother didn't even bother to look at them. Lu Jing was helpless. This son of mine just wants face so much. He just had to coax his wife a little. It was a very simple matter, but the more he coaxed her, the more complicated it became. Lu Jing laughed lightly. "Yi Hua, call Lil, Tian and Gong Yu over. After all, this is also their matter." Yi Hua nodded his head, then sent a sound transmission to Yi Juetian to bring Gong Yu over. "What is it, mother?" Qian Yuqing curiously asked. Yi Hua said faintly, "I plan to let them get married as soon as possible." Everyone was a little confused. Wasn't it supposed to be 2 months later? Why was it suddenly brought forward? The dishes were all prepared by Blood Demon, the head chef, and all of the dishes were Yi Hua's favorite dishes, such as crayfish, crab. The delightful aroma immediately pervaded the entire room. "Brother-in-law, for little Tian's big wedding, who are we going to invite over? We have to make it more lively." Qing Yutong asked curiously. Yi Hua had long thought about this, and he said faintly, "The big shots from all of the surrounding powers, to be more precise, the big shots from the entire north." "Wah, to make it so big?" Qing Yutong felt that this is fun. Brother-in-law is probably trying to show off his strength, right? Qing Yutong indeed understood Yi Hua. Yi Hua indeed wants to show off his strength and let the entire north know that Wushu Empire is invincible. Yi Hua nodded his head. "When the time comes, the 2 of you should be more dignified." This sentence was clearly said to Qingye and Donghuang Baizhi. It's fine to quarrel, but when the day comes, remember your identity and don't lose face for me. Qingye and Donghuang Baizhi still don't know what Yi Hua meant. This fellow not only wants to show off his strength, he also wants to show off his women. He is simply born to act cool. Qingye and Donghuang Baizhi knew what was more important. When the time comes, all of the big shots from the entire north will be present. No matter how much they quarrel, they will still have to give Yi Hua face. "Yuqing, what's wrong?" Yi Hua asked lightly. He noticed that Qian Yuqing's expression was a bit abnormal. Qian Yuqing smiled slightly. It's nothing. In actuality, Qian Yuqing was thinking, when the time comes, the consequences would be unimaginable. At this moment, Qing Yi suddenly said, Yuqing is thinking, when are you going to give her a wedding? This sentence of hers is very profound. Yihua immediately understood what Qing Yi was trying to say. You are blaming me for not giving you a wedding again. Isn't it just a ceremony? If these women want to mention it once a year, then I will just drag it on for a year. End of this chapter. Chapter 1147. At this time, Lu Jing also said, Yihua, no matter how busy you are, you still have to think about your wife, do you understand? With Granny speaking up for them, Qing Ye and the others were happy in their hearts. It is fortunate that we have Granny to help us. Yihua said in a low voice, Mother, I understand. After I am done with this matter, I will marry them. Qing Ye and Dong Huang Baiji snorted in their hearts. What kind of tone is this? It's as if he's very unwilling. Act tough, King Yi, we still haven't agreed to it. Lu Jing was also helping her son and daughter-in-law to ease the tension between them. Husband and wife are fighting on the bed, right? Look. You agreed to get married. Qing Ye and Dong Huang Baiji's expressions became much worse. After Yihua finished eating, he went to look for absolute heaven to see if there was any progress. Soon after, Yihua once again held a mobilization meeting and invited all of the powers in the north. Those who gave him face would come. Not giving me face, hee. Of course, the wedding invitations were sent out by a group of subordinates. Although the time was relatively short, it was still within the scope of control. Qing Ye and Dong Huang Baiji still joined the group to help out, but the Cold War still continued, and Qing Yutong and Qian Yuqing were also unable to do anything about it. Yi Juetian was vexed, but Gong Yu was happy. After all, she was about to marry into the Yi family. At that time, he would be a member of the Yi family. In the woodshed, no one dared to bully Yi anymore. These palace maids were not fools. They knew that Yi was protected by the Empress. If they continued to bully her, they would be courting death. At this time, several palace maids gathered together to discuss the matter of Lord Yi, which was also the latest news. Have you heard? Lord Ye's wedding date has been brought forward. Of course I know. It was supposed to be a few months, but it was suddenly postponed to a few days later. I'm so envious. To be able to marry a man like Prince Yi, he's so handsome, that's right. Prince Yi and His Majesty are blood-related brothers. They look exactly the same. Sleeping with one is equivalent to sleeping with two. You coquettish hussy. Yi carried her dinner and was just about to enter when she heard the news about Yi Juetian. She stopped in her tracks. When Yi heard that Ye's wedding date had been brought forward a few days later, she was completely stupefied, and the rice bowl in her hand fell to the ground. This attracted the attention of the palace maids inside. The palace maids walked out one after another, and when they saw Yi, who was in a daze, they were already used to it. This woman was so infatuated that it felt like she was sick. However, she had the support of the Empress. The palace maid hurriedly helped Yi tidy up and even warmly invited Yi into the room. Yi's mind was filled with the news of Ye's upcoming marriage. On this day, Yi didn't know how she got through it. She felt like her inner world had completely collapsed. Although I knew that this day would come, but when it really came, I didn't know what to do. Panic, all kinds of emotions pervaded Yi's mind. However, wasn't it the same for Yi Juetian as well? They were clearly in the same palace, yet, it was hard for them to meet each other. Night fell. Yi got up from the bed. Since Yi didn't come and look for me, then I will go and look for Yi. Why? Why didn't you come and meet me? Even if you just let someone pass a word to me, it would be fine. After putting on her clothes, Yi opened the door and walked out, appearing to be very careful. But, where is Ye? The imperial palace is so big, where am I going to find him? Yi couldn't care less. If she didn't find Ye, she would even have the heart to die. If Ye didn't want him anymore, then what was the point of him staying in this world? Walking in the dark and gloomy imperial palace, Yi felt so unfamiliar and scary. The walls were clearly not very tall, yet they separated Yi and Ye. Why did you come out? A voice rang out behind Yi. Yi's heart sunk. I just came out and I am going to be caught. Suddenly turning her head around, Yi saw a little girl. Isn't this the little girl that gave me a candy that day? It's you. Yi let out a breath. I feel that this little girl doesn't have any ill intentions. The little girl that came was precisely Yi Zizi. In actuality, Yi Zizi also came to look for Yi. Yi Zizi thought to herself that the lollipop should have been finished by Yi, right? Seeing that Yi is pitiful, I decided to give you another lollipop. In the end, I didn't expect that Yi would sneak out. Don't you know that you will die if you sneak out like this? Yi Zizi said while shouting the lollipop. Yi lightly bit onto her lips. She knew the rules of the woodshed. Without the orders of a female official, sneaking out of the woodshed was a crime. Yi Zizi let out a light sigh. This woman is truly pitiful. Where do you want to go? Yi Zizi asked curiously. I want to go look for Yi. Yi didn't know what to do and directly set out her purpose. Yi Zizi asked confusedly, Yi Juetian. Oh, why are you looking for him? I want to ask him. Yi said in a low voice, appearing to be in a lot of pain. Yi Zizi let out a light sigh. Do you know where Yi Juetian's bedroom is? I don't know. You are really stupid, just swaggering around like this. If you get caught, you will be dead for sure. Yi Zizi shook her head. This woman is really stupid, she doesn't even know how to plan properly before coming out. However, Yi Zizi also knew why Yi was in a hurry to look for Yi Juetian. After all, the news of the marriage had already spread, and Yi was anxious. Should I help her or not? Looking at such a pitiful woman, Yi Zizi let out a breath. I will bring you there. Really? Chapter 1148. I can't go out. If Big Brother hears about this and I meet with Yi again, then Big Brother, everything that I have done will be in vain. However, I really want to go out, look at Yi, hug her tightly, and tell her how much I miss you, that me and Gong Yu getting married is all for you. As long as you can live, I am willing to do anything. Yay! Yi called out once again. Why is Ye ignoring me? You didn't come, but I came, yet I closed the door and refused to see you. Could it be that Ye really doesn't like me anymore? That can't be. Ye likes me, he said it before. Hearing Yi's call, Yi Juetian's brain transmitted the signal to rush out. Hug the woman I love and tell her all of your feelings. However, Yi Juetian's rationality told him that the consequences of rushing out would be very severe. Right now, the wedding invitations had already been sent out. If anything were to happen, the entire Wushu Empire's face would be thrown away. Not only Big Brother would be humiliated, everyone would be humiliated as well. Juetian, don't be rash. Do you want to kill Yi? Gong Yu shouted lightly, stopping the two from meeting. Yi Juetian stopped moving. He was completely defeated by reality. What should I do? What should I do? Yi Juetian mumbled. He discovered that he was so useless, he didn't even dare to push open the door, as if the weight of the door was not something that he could push open at all. Gong Yu bit her lips tightly. You have to quickly let Yi go back. If Yi is discovered, it will be even more dangerous. Yi Juetian felt that what Gong Yu said was right, only by obediently staying in the woodshed would Yi be able to keep her life. Yay! Yi called out for the third time, her tone becoming more and more miserable each time. Yi. Yi Juetian called out the name in his heart. Yi, who was standing outside the door, was delighted, seemingly wanting to rush up the stairs, push open the door, and fiercely hug Ye. I don't care what you did in the past, as long as you talk to me, don't ignore me. However, Yi Juetian said gravely, don't move. Yi, who was raising her leg, stopped and looked at the double doors above her head, as well as the human figure. Ye is right there, and the human figure at the side should be Gong Yu, right? Right when Yi was about to speak, Yi Juetian said, Yi, go back, don't come again. Yi, whose face was filled with joy, was stunned. Her entire body trembled, and she felt her ears ringing. Ye actually told her to leave. How could this be? Ye, I'm here to see you. It's me, Yi, can you come out? Yi squeezed out a smile and smiled at the figure. This smile was heartbreaking. At the very least, Yi Zizi, who was standing not far away, felt uncomfortable when she saw it. Yi Juetian tightly clenched his fists, while Gong Yu held onto Yi Juetian's hand, preventing him from rushing out. Go back and stay in the woodshed, Yi Juetian said in a low voice. Yi did not understand. Why was she still unwilling to take a look even though she was here? Ye, do you not like me anymore? Yi asked with a desolate tone. At this moment, the cold wind was howling, and Yi's silhouette seemed so frail and weak. Yi Zizi gently waved her hand and stopped the cold wind. A struggling expression appeared on Yi Juetian's face. Idiot, how could I not like you? As long as you are alive, I will continue to like you. If you are dead, who am I going to like? Yi, I like you. Then, why aren't you willing to come out and see me? Yi, go back, you are not safe right now. Yi Juetian said gravely. There are so many spies in the palace, and if Big Brother hears about this, it would be troublesome. Yi did not cry, nor did she make a fuss. She just looked at the two figures in the room and felt heartache. She said that she likes me, yet she isn't willing to see me. Is this really love? This is no longer love, this kind of love has already lost its meaning. If you want me to go back to the woodshed, then I will go back. Yi will still choose to listen to you, even if you don't like Yi anymore. Carrying disappointment, Yi turned around and left. Gong Yu let out a breath. This damned woman, I almost let them meet. Luckily, Yi Juetian did not rush out. No. If this Yi doesn't die, I won't be able to have a day of peace. I have to think of a way. Juetian, things will get better in the future. As long as mother's illness is cured, Big Brother won't blame Yi. At that time, you can just plead for Yi, and Yi will be fine. Gong Yu consoled Yi attentively, acting as a kind-hearted woman. Yi Juetian felt that what Gong Yu said was right. As long as mother's illness is cured, Big Brother's hostility towards Yi should lessen a bit. Gong Yu, thank you. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't know what to do. Yi Juetian thanked sincerely. Gong Yu smiled tenderly. Juetian, is there a need to be so courteous between us? After hearing that, Yi Juetian felt very unnatural. I and Gong Yu have already gotten intimate with each other, and have already done the deed of husband and wife. I can only hope that these days will be over soon. A cold light flashed past Gong Yu's eyes, and she seemed to have an idea. On the other side, Yi Zizi brought Yi back to the woodshed. It's fine, I will listen to Ye's words and properly stay here. Yi forced out a smile, but who knew how much pain she was feeling in her heart. Yi Zizi did not say anything and took out a lollipop. The one you gave me last time, I haven't finished eating it yet. Yi took out the lollipop and showed it to Yi Zizi. Yi Zizi didn't expect that Yi would eat a lollipop like this and became speechless. Thank you for today's matter, if you need any help, just call for me. Yi was very grateful towards Yi Zizi. There are still good people in the palace. I reckon that even Yi Zizi didn't expect that there would be someone who would call her a good person. Yi Zizi laughed lightly. If I can't even solve the problem myself, what's the point of calling for you? I will be leaving first then. Yi Zizi said faintly. Without waiting for Yi to say anything, Yi Zizi disappeared from where she was. After Yi Zizi left, Yi slowly sat on the bed and looked at the flickering oil lamp. No matter what, I will be able to hear Ye's voice. He said that he likes me, and that is enough. Right now, Yi was hypnotizing herself. She would rather believe that Yi Juetian likes me than believe in anything else. Yi sat on the bed for a very, very long time and thought for a very long time. Yi. A voice suddenly rang out. Yi looked towards the corner of the room and cried out in surprise, Gong Yu. Yi. Gong Yu walked forward and lightly hugged onto Yi. Yi revealed a moved look on her face as she hugged onto Gong Yu tightly. However, Gong Yu's gaze was not moved. Instead, it was filled with a sinister meaning. Yi, it's fine, it will be fine in the future. Gong Yu consoled Yi lightly. If it was possible, I would make Yi die without a burial ground right now. However, if she killed Yi, Big Brother Emperor would definitely investigate this matter. The gains would not make up for the losses. Yi was the one who couldn't stand being consoled by others the most. At this moment, she couldn't hold it in any longer, and her tears fell like rain. End of this chapter. Chapter 1149. Why doesn't Ye even want to see me? Why, Gong Yu? Gong Yu said gravely, Yi, originally, I didn't plan to tell you about this matter, but looking at how painful you two are, I can't bear to see you two. What matter? Yi, Big Brother Emperor thinks that you are a spy. You intentionally wasted Empress Dowager's medicine. Gong Yu said in a low voice as she tightly held onto Yi's hand, seemingly wanting Yi to not take this matter to heart. However, wasn't this also a kind of hint? It was hinting that Yi Juetian didn't want to see you because of this. No. I'm not a spy, Gong Yu, you have to believe me, I'm not a spy. Yi immediately became flustered, that pleading gaze of hers seemed to have caught onto the last straw. Gong Yu said in a low voice, Yi, I believe you, you are such a kind girl, how could you possibly be a spy? But, Ye doesn't believe me. Yi asked nervously. Yi, this matter is related to Ju Tian's mother, you should understand, because Big Brother Emperor has evidence. Yi was a bit at a loss as she held onto her head and said in a low voice, I'm not a spy. I really am not a spy. I did waste Empress Dowager's medicine, but I really am not a spy. Yi, don't be like this, you will make my heart ache. Gong Yu lightly hugged onto Yi and revealed a complacent smile on her face. Gong Yu, what should I do? Just what should I do? Gong Yu revealed an expression that seemed like she wanted to say something, but didn't know how to say it. After seeing that, Yi hurriedly asked, Gong Yu, please tell me, what should I do? I don't want Ye to misunderstand me, anyone can do it, but I don't want Ye to misunderstand me. Yi, as long as Big Brother Emperor believes you, everyone will believe you. I will go and look for Big Brother Emperor then. Yi, even I can't see Big Brother Emperor, if you go and look for him, aren't you just courting death? What should I do then? Is there any way to see Big Brother Emperor? Yi asked anxiously. Gong Yu continued, Yi, the reason why I don't want to say is because it is very dangerous, you know? It's fine. No matter how dangerous it is, I will go and explain myself, Yi said firmly. She could not let Ye think that she was a spy. Gong Yu sighed softly, in a few days, it will be my and Ju Tian's wedding. At that time, Big Brother Emperor and the bosses of the various powers will all be present. This is also your best opportunity. Big Brother Emperor will definitely not kill you on that day, and you will have the opportunity to explain yourself. If Yi was a little smarter, she would know that this was a trap. This was no longer a wedding. Instead, it was slapping Yihua's face. And Gong Yu wanted to kill him with a borrowed knife. At this moment, Yi only wanted to explain that she wasn't a spy. She didn't even think that Gong Yu would harm her because such an excuse would make sense. Because only by making a big deal out of this matter would they take it seriously. I will do that for your wedding. Yi hesitated for a moment. Yi seemed to be thinking of others. Gong Yu smiled faintly and said, Yi, your innocence is more important than my wedding. Zhu Tian and I will be very happy if you clear your innocence. Yi was very touched and hugged onto Gong Yu's body tightly. Gong Yu, you are too good to me, I will definitely remember you. Fool. Gong Yu said lightly, and a sinister smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. You are a fool, when the time comes, I will see how you die. But I still want you to understand one thing, because of you, Zhu Tian is in a very dangerous situation. Gong Yu's words were another kind of hint. If you don't die, Zhu Tian will never be safe in his entire life. Yi didn't understand the meaning behind Gong Yu's words, but she knew that her existence was putting Ye in a difficult position, or in danger, and even more people would be implicated. I am just like a jinx, no matter where I go, I will always be unwelcomed, and I will always do the wrong things. If I can, I really want to die. Since I have chosen to explain myself on that day, if I can't explain myself clearly, then I will have already died. I am not a spy. Gong Yu, do you have that medicine? Yi asked in a low voice. Gong Yu was happy. I didn't expect that Yi would be stupid to such an extent. However, this is good as well, at least I am able to act according to my plan. Yi, what did you say? Gong Yu feigned ignorance and asked. It's the kind of medicine that will kill you. Yi was very calm right now. If death is able to prove my innocence, I will not hesitate to do so. At the very least, in Ye's heart, I am not a spy, I am that stupid and foolish woman. Gong Yu pretended to be shocked. Yi, are you crazy? I don't have that kind of medicine. Gong Yu. Yi called out lightly, and soon after, she knelt in front of Gong Yu. This caused Gong Yu to feel very satisfied. Even a lowly servant like you dares to snatch a man from me, Gong Yu. I will make sure that you don't even know how you died. Yi, what are you doing? Hurry up and get up. Gong Yu hurriedly went to help her up, but Yi refused to get up. Gong Yu, I beg you, I know you have it, just give it to me. Of course, Gong Yu wouldn't give it to him directly. At the very least, she had to put on an act and say a few polite words. This won't do, if other people were to find out that I gave you the medicine, Gong Yu, I swear that I won't say a word about what we've said tonight, even if I die. Gong Yu said seriously, Yi, it's not that I don't believe you, but if something happens to you, what will happen to Zhu Tian? Gong Yu, if something really happens to me, help me take good care of Zhu Tian. I don't want to be a despicable person in Zhu Tian's heart, I beg of you. After speaking, Yi actually started kowtowing. However, Gong Yu did not stop Yi immediately. She enjoyed Yi's kowtow very much. It was too comfortable. No. I'll give it to you, okay? After having enough fun, Gong Yu put on a look of reluctance. However, Yi squeezed out a smile and said, Thank you, Gong Yu. Gong Yu took out a sparkling and translucent pill and said in a deep voice, This pill can make you feel no pain. However, Gong Yu was thinking in her mind. This is the soul-severing pill, after eating it. I will disappear into thin air, and even my soul will disappear into thin air. I will completely disappear from this world, and I won't even have an afterlife. Yi gently took the pill and placed it in her palm, feeling the coldness of the pill. Gong Yu, thank you very much, you have helped me too much. Gong Yu patted onto Yi's shoulder. Yi, I will always help you, and when the time comes, I will make arrangements for you. All right. Yi nodded her head and tightly held onto the pill. Yi, it is already very late, I will be leaving first. If not, if I were to be discovered by someone, it would be hard for me to absolve myself from the blame. Gong Yu, remember my words, take good care of Ye. Fool, nothing will happen to you. Gong Yu said with a slight smile, then disappeared from the room. End of this chapter. Chapter 1150. Yi sat on the bed. She didn't expect that her big brother, the emperor, thought that she was a spy. Ye also knew. No wonder Ye had been ignoring him during this period of time. Just now, she also closed the door and refused to see him. So it was because of this. If it wasn't for Gong Yu, he wouldn't have known. Gong Yu was really his benefactor. If he could explain it clearly, he would definitely repay Gong Yu well. Yi was simply courting death by doing this. On the day of the wedding, the people who came were all influential figures in the north. Yihua also attached great importance to this matter, and was prepared to show off for a while. Yet, Yu suddenly came out to cause trouble. Wouldn't that be slapping Yihua's face in front of everyone? With Yihua's temper, it was impossible for him to live. Gong Yu took advantage of this and sent Yi to her death. Therefore, on that day, regardless of whether Yi explained clearly or not, she was dead. That was destined. However, Yi was still foolishly obedient. She didn't tell anyone about this, not even Qian Yuqing. Qian Yuqing was here to tell him not to do anything rash. However, Qian Yuqing underestimated Yi's determination. Because I am being wrongly accused, Yi is unable to bear being wrongly accused like this, especially when even Ye doesn't believe me, therefore, he had to explain it clearly. Time passed quickly. The entire voidless empire was decorated with lanterns and colored banners. It was bustling with noise and excitement as if it was the new year. Red lanterns were hung all over the streets, which was also a symbol of blessing. However, inside the palace, there was a sea of joy. Everyone's faces were filled with joy. All the subordinates were discussing what to wear tomorrow, especially the groomsmen's group. Absolute Heaven was very honored to be one of the groomsmen. If Wei Chang was here, he would definitely go and be the groomsman as well. Lai Gu also wanted to be the groomsman, but right now, Lai Gu was so huge, and he was hiding in a valley beside Voidless Empire. Not being able to come back home, Lai Gu's 4 wives would sometimes go back home to take a few glances at Lai Gu, and Lai Gu would only be able to look at Lai Gu and not be able to touch Lai Gu. This kind of feeling, to a dragon, this is torture. That's why, that Qing Su is so ruthless. Other than Zhu Tian, Yi Hong and Luo Ho had also joined in. LV Lu was too ashamed to go. She didn't even reconnect her broken arm. She seemed to be using this method to remind herself. Since it was a joyous occasion, Yihua decided that the theme of tomorrow's celebration would be red. As for the style, it was up to you. But remember, don't embarrass yourself. Tomorrow will be the most important day for the entire Voidless Empire. The entire North will fall under my power. At this moment, Yihua was finally seated in the bedroom. He was mainly here to supervise the dressing of these women. Hundreds of custom-made red festive dresses could be seen hanging on both sides of the wall. These kinds of dresses did not lose their noble temperament, and they also had the grandeur that an empress should have. However, Yihua still had to personally take a look at them, so that Qingye and Donghuang Baiji wouldn't cause any trouble. While the 4 women were changing their clothes behind the barrier, Yihua just sat outside and drank tea. His mood became slightly better. I hope that by using Xiao Tian's marriage I will be able to have good luck. Just changing clothes, why are you changing for so long? Yihua couldn't help but urge. Could it be that the two of you want to change for the entire night? This woman was so troublesome to change her clothes. Qin Yutong shouted out, brother-in-law, this headdress is too difficult to wear, it's so complicated. Sigh. Yihua let out a light sigh. These clothes, every single one of them even have a matching head accessory, it is indeed a bit difficult to make. After lighting up a stick of cigarette, Yihua thought about other things. There is still no news from the White Bones, the progress seems to be very slow. I wonder if any unexpected situations will occur during the wedding ceremony this time. Right now, I am already being targeted. Under normal circumstances, after making such a big move, I will definitely come over and cause trouble. Seems like I have to take some precautions. However, it is also good for me to come over and let these people see Voidless Empire's strength. Just as Yihua was pondering, the four women walked out from behind the barrier. Yihua went into a slight daze. Holy shit! How can my women be so beautiful? If I were to bring them out tomorrow, I would become the envy of others. That would give me too much face. For different styles, and each of them had a different charm to them. Beautiful, too beautiful. Other than being beautiful, their temperament and grandeur are also top-notch, as expected of my women. This time, they finally gave me a bit of face. However, I cannot let them become too arrogant. Therefore, not good-looking, change. Yihua said faintly. Look at that Qingye and Donghuang Baiji, they are still putting on such a frown. If they are still like this tomorrow, I will spank their butts until they are swollen. The four women did not say anything and continued changing clothes. If it wasn't because tomorrow is very important, would you be so smug? After a while, the four women changed into another set. Yihua felt that the new set was not as good-looking as the first set. Continue changing. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were clearly swallowing their anger. However, they endured their anger and went to change into another set. Then, they began. Not good-looking, change. Continue changing. Change. God knows how many sets were changed. Qingye couldn't take it anymore and shouted out gravely, Yihua. Are you messing with me? Yihua raised his head slightly and looked at Qingye. What are you talking about? I am just thinking about tomorrow. You. Even Qian Yuqing and Qin Yutong became gloomy. Taking off my clothes, putting on my clothes, and even having to put on my clothes, this is so troublesome. Yihua knew that it was about time and said faintly, we're the first set tomorrow. The four wives, this is simply bullying. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji immediately hammered at Yihua, while Yihua disappeared from where he was, not giving the two of them a chance. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji stomped their feet in anger. Count yourself lucky. Otherwise, I would have hammered you to death for playing with people. Yihua chose a red robe with golden threads inlaid on it. When wearing this robe, it looks very lively. Gold represents imperial power, red represents blessing, not bad, not bad. Zishan, come over for a moment. Yihua called out lightly. Since Wei Chang wasn't around, there were a lot of things that needed to be managed by other subordinates. Because Wei Chang went missing, Tang Wei was very depressed, and she basically didn't dare to step out of the door. Zishan's working ability was very strong, thus, the task of receiving the foreign guests was given to Zishan. Subordinate. Greetings to your honor. Zishan's figure quickly appeared behind Yihua and said respectfully. Is everyone here? Yihua asked faintly. Zishan said in a low voice, Your honor, all of the powers in northern Liang are here. All of Alo River's powers are here as well. Half of Alo River's ancient land's powers are here, but if you have anything to say, just say it. Yihua said faintly. But, other than Northern Liang, Alo River's powers and ancient land's powers have different opinions towards Wushu Empire. Zishan said rather vaguely. In actuality, other people just felt that it was nothing much. End of this chapter. Chapter 1151. Yihua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. Previously, we only met with Yuanyang Palace. Seems like there are still some people who don't believe in this, and only half of them actually came. Also, this Aluo, seems like I will have to teach them a lesson tomorrow. Yes. Your Honor. Everything has been arranged properly, we will definitely be able to intimidate those people. Zishan was very excited in her heart. Tomorrow will be the day that I will be able to witness Wushu Empire's strength. What I want is not to intimidate, but to make them fear. Yihua said gravely. Zishan lowered her head and shouted out, yes. Your Honor, if there is nothing else, subordinate will be leaving now. Zishan said in a low voice. Yihua flicked away the cigarette ash and said lightly, wait. Your Honor, is there anything else? I heard that you and that fellow Yi Hong had a conflict again. Yihua slowly turned around and asked curiously. Zishan lowered her head, bit her lips lightly, and didn't say anything. Yihua raised his head and looked at Wushu Empire's night sky. The countless stars in the night sky were incredibly beautiful, and Yihua said slowly, Zishan, back then, I acted as the go-between for you. I have the heart to repay you. LV Liang and Yi Hong traveled a long distance to bring Ollie back to my side. I owe them this favor. LV Liang is the big brother, and his temper is a bit strong. Yi Hong is an honest person, and marrying you to an honest person like Yi Hong should be a perfect thing. However, after so many years have passed, I realized that Yi Hong is too honest. I realized that, otherwise, Yi Hong is too honest. Even though he has obtained power, he is still the same as before. Zishan, you are a deity, and you have your own strength as well. However, no matter what, Yi Hong is still a man, and a husband and wife must respect each other. Yihua sighed lightly. While I, the Supreme Overlord, am lecturing others in a serious manner, I am actually the same as well. Zishan didn't say anything after hearing what Yihua said. I was the one who hosted your wedding back then, and it was my first time hosting a wedding like that. It was pretty good, but I don't feel like it anymore. A melon that is forcefully picked won't be sweet. If the two of you can't live on anymore, you can just leave, I won't stop you. Yihua said lightly. This time, he wasn't pretending, he was serious. If they were afraid that I would blame them, then it's fine now. I have already spoken, and the two of you can leave and live the life that you want. Zishan's body trembled. Divorce? This was something that Zishan had never thought of before. Although she often scolded Yi Hong, she had never thought of divorcing him. Where else could she find such a man who allowed her to beat and scold him? In the end, he even coaxed her and said that the next one would be even more gentle. That was a lie. It didn't exist. Your Honor, the arrangement that you made back then is the luckiest thing that happened to me, Zishan. I will definitely not divorce this marriage. Zishan's eyes were filled with determination. After hearing that, Yihua nodded his head. It isn't good for me to get too involved in your family's matters. You can do as you see fit. Thank you for your understanding, Your Honor. Let's go back and rest. It's been a long day. There are still many things to do tomorrow. Yes. Seeing that Zishan had left, Yihua also planned to return to his room and rest. Tomorrow is a good day, and it can be seen from the numerous stars in the sky. Zishan, who was walking on the main road of the imperial palace, tightly wrinkled her brows. While thinking about what His Honor said to her, Zishan unknowingly arrived at His Honor's bedroom. Zishan stood outside the house and thought for a long time. In the end, she pushed open the door and entered the house. It is already so late. Zishan thought to herself that Yi Hong should have already fallen asleep. Zishan took a look at the small room at the side. Recently, the husband and wife had been sleeping in separate rooms. Zishan slept on the big bed, and Yi Hong slept in the small room. The Cold War between the husband and wife was still going on. Zishan pouted her mouth and stood outside the small room. Soon after, she lightly pushed open the door and entered the small room. Yi Hong didn't sleep either. Yi Hong had been waiting for Zishan to come back. If Zishan doesn't come back, I will be worried. However, today, Zishan actually came into my room. What is going on? Yi Hong didn't understand. Could it be that Zishan is going to scold me again? We have already quarreled, and she still wants to scold me. If that's the case, I really can't take it anymore. However, Yi Hong didn't hear the sound of quarreling. Instead, she heard a slight sound. This seems to be the sound of Zishan taking off her clothes, right? What is Zishan trying to do? Is she trying to force herself on me? For the sake of giving birth to a child, could it be that she doesn't want to consider my feelings? Seems like this isn't the first or second time that she has forced herself on me. Not long after, Yi Hong felt a warm and delicate body squeezing into the blanket and tightly hugging onto her. At this moment, Yi Hong went into a daze. This feeling is so subtle, it is just like how I felt when I was dating Zishan just now. The two of them didn't speak, and there was an ambiguous atmosphere in the air. Of course, there was also the sound of the two's heartbeat. Not knowing how long had passed, Zishan said lightly, "Husband, I'm sorry, I was wrong." Yi Hong felt that his ears were ringing. Zishan actually took the initiative to apologize. What is going on? This awesome wife of mine actually apologized to me. I feel like I am dreaming. Husband, can you forgive me? In the future, I won't force you to give birth to a child anymore. Let nature take its course. Zishan had also just thought it through. If Zishan continued to force Yi Hong, she might really end up divorcing him. Really? Yi Hong was very happy in his heart. Zishan has finally thought it through. And Zishan answered while tightly snuggling into Yi Hong's embrace. These few years, I have been forcing Zishan too much, and I have not given Yi Hong any face at all. Husband, in the future, I won't scold you anymore, I will properly love you. Yi Hong was so moved that she was about to cry. Zishan is finally sensible. It really wasn't easy for Zishan to say such words just now. Just what kind of stimulation did Zishan suffer just now? Sometimes, a husband and wife should express their love to each other. This would make the other party happy. Otherwise, if it was always one-sided, there would be problems in the long run. Love must be said. Yes. Hubby, will you still dote on me like before? Zishan said with a coquettish tone. This kind of Zishan caused Yi Hong to sigh in admiration. This kind of Zishan is simply like a ferocious tiger turning into a little kitten. Yi Hong hugged Zishan tightly. Yes, it will never change. Hubby, you're the best. Comfortable, Yi Hong felt so comfortable. Hubby, yeah, what's wrong? We haven't done that in a long time, aww. Yi Hong exclaimed. She had just said that she wouldn't force herself. In the past, my goal was to have children, but from today onwards, that's no longer the case. This is my love. Yi Hong expressed that she didn't understand what Yi Hong was saying. Are you bullying me because I have not gone to school before? You are talking about such a big logic. However, if his wife had a request, would the husband refuse? Furthermore, today, even Zishan had lowered her head to him. Yi Juetian was very happy. Yi Juetian was very unhappy, and he felt very hesitant. I'm definitely letting Yi down, letting her suffer alone in the woodshed. As a man, I'm truly too much of a failure. Meanwhile, Gong Yu, who was sleeping in the small room, was sleeping very soundly, because tomorrow will be the end of his troubles. End of this chapter. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.